Coolhorse. I'm here with Donna. She's the founder of CSI Saddle Pads, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the pads today.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Kelly. Thank you for having me in your store. What an incredible setup you've got here. What we basically have done, I started making these saddle pads about 15 years ago, and I had a problem with the horse. And the horse, it was because the saddle fit me good, but it didn't necessarily fit that horse. So I wanted to create a way that we could distribute the bar pressure, the rider's weight, and the impact evenly on the horse's back. And this is basically what this raised area here does. So if you listen, see how hard it sounds? That's because what's in there, it's a very thin bulletproof glass. Now it's not thick enough to stop bullets, so don't be that redneck that goes out there and shoots your saddle, okay? But what it does is it gives it the tensile strength of 10,000 pounds, and there's layers in there, and they overlap to where it takes, I'm gonna touch you, it takes a pressure point, a single pressure point like this, and instead of it being like that on the horse's back, it's like this. So essentially, it's created an orthotic effect for the horse's back.
Okay.
You know, we've done a lot of things here, and I was a pad queen. I mean, I tried every saddle pad before I started making my own. So when you look at this pad, it looks a little funny because it's all jumped up in the front end. Even the ones here behind us, they don't sit right on a rack. And the reason is if you look at a horse, 90% of the horses, they have a wither. You know, yes, there's some flat back horses out there that this will create that artificial wither on, but what I'm trying to do is to create the opportunity to where we have no downward pressure on the wither. 2.5-inch contour is built into the pad to where it's going to stay pulled up for you, and then there's a 1/2-inch contour at the hip to allow where the croup is coming up. So that's why they kind of look funny when you just look at them and you go, I don't know about that. But that's the reason why we do it, is because of the horse's conformation and anatomy. And even a horse, like I said, that's maybe flat back or a big old broad back horse, this will still work on. Now what I found over the years is on that type of body, you need less wool against them. We use diamond wool, 100% wool. It's the only thing that I've ever ran on these pads. And I'll pull this Velcro real quick. I make this to where the wool is actually removable, okay? It's reversible, and it's replaceable. Because the top part of that pad to date, I've got over 12,000 hours in some of our pads that are out there. So the outer shell wears very well. So I wanted it to be consumer friendly because they are an expensive pad. You're paying $380, $400 for these pads. It's not a cheap product. The reason it's cost that, number one, it's American made. Every person that works for me is just like you and I, okay? I've got great people with a lot of integrity that work there and want to create an amazing product. So we have a lot of quality checks along the way to make sure that the horse is not going to get hurt. Because ultimately, it's not about the look of the pad. It's about how it feels on the horse, under the saddle. That's the consumer that ultimately has to say. And they'll tell you if it's not right. So they also tell you if it's right.
Yeah.
You get a lot of repeat business sometimes, don't you?
Yes.
So, you know, that's kind of what the wool is all about. And we do offer 2 different thicknesses. This is a 3/4 inch, which is the most popular, especially with the ranchers and the ropers and stuff. This is a good all-around thickness because when you put that with that pad, that's going to give you about 1 inch here at the bar. Now you see this saddle sitting here on this pad, and it kind of looks funny. It's not a traditional look because I got pad out the front and nothing out the back. You know, this saddle's got a pretty good sized skirt on it, and the reason for that is because the shoulder is so important on the horse. I like to see that distance from the flex plate to the beginning of that saddle skirt to where that is going to move with that horse and flex and protect it. Because when the saddle tree is sitting here and that horse's shoulder is going bam, 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 hitting into it, a lot of people get them dry spots or white spots, white marks. Sometimes they're irregular, and that literally is where the skin is getting puckered between the saddle tree and the shoulder of the horse.
Yeah.
So that plate acts like a shoehorn. And it just allows that shoulder blade to just glide. It just glides over, and so you don't get stuck.
So it doesn't get in a bind.
Right. It absolutely doesn't get stuck, and that's why I like to see it more forward because it works better that way. It's what it was designed to work. Okay. And this saddle's big, so it's a little bit off the back, but it's not gonna hurt anything. It just kind of looks a little bit different, you know. So I mean, this has been the #1 seller for years. 95% of what I make is this pad right here, which is a 32-inch, 3/4 inch, and we sell a bunch of them. And we're very proud of them, and that's why one of the things, you know, we put a 30-day ride and get it dirty guarantee on the pads, and I want them dirty. And when I sell a pad to a consumer, I'm like, it's not dirty, I'm not buying it back. Because you can't
you haven't
say,
used it, right? Yes.
you can't say, oh, it didn't work for me if you never put a leg over it. So, you know, we've been blessed, and we've got a good product. I haven't made a lot of changes over the years because what we do is working. Yeah. So if it's not broke,
Don't fix it.
right?
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you very much for telling us a little bit about the pads today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Call
Well,
us if you need.
Be sure and watch, the NFR. We've got 16 competitors that'll be riding the CSI pads next year, from the barrel racers to the calf ropers to the team ropers. You got
So everybody.
Yeah, we've got a very diverse group. They'll all have a white patch back here on the back corner plate, and that's the CSI elite team. Go team!
All right. If you have any questions, give us a call or place an order online. Thank you.